a lot of people think, well, I'm no kind of expert. No one's going to listen to me. Well, neither was I. So I just said, well, I'll just make more of that and see what happens. And what
Wow.
happens is years later, here I am making my entire living online, like you say.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast. Super excited to be back with you again this week to talk to another member of the Flip Lifestyle community, talk to one of our amazing people doing amazing things out in the world. And I feel super blessed today because I get to talk to my old friend, Paul Clifford. Paul, what's going on, brother?
Oh, I'm doing so great, Shane.
Dude, your shirt says Dream, Plan, Create, Inspire. That is an epic shirt, man.
Yeah, this was a shirt I got at a church tech conference because
nice.
That's what I do. So
that's exactly right, man. That's that. So real quick, before we get started, let's do that. Let's tell everybody what it is you do now. We've had a podcast. Paul's been on the podcast before. We've been chronicling his journey now through the online business world for years. So we'll put some links to that in the show note. But for everybody who's just meeting you today, Paul, for the first time listening in, tell them what you do online.
I help churches use a particular presentation software called ProPresenter and help them live stream. So that's basically it.
And ProPresenter is basically like PowerPoint on steroids, right? It's like multiple decks, multiple everything. So you can really create like TV quality, studio quality, like productions at any small church. But I have tried to use ProPresenter in the youth group at my church. And I'm like, so they're going, oh my gosh, like it can be very overwhelming when you first open that program, you know?
Right, exactly. So clearly your church needs to have me in to do a one-day training. So there you go.
My favorite story about I love about what we do here at Flip Lifestyle is like everybody's got their own zone of genius. Like ProPresenter. I have no clue how to use ProPresenter. Only you can start a membership about ProPresenter, right? And you get to go out in the world and you get to do it. And it's always cool when I get to see like all of our students doing cool things and helping people. And like, have you ever like thought about that hundreds of churches out there are using ProPresenter effectively and thousands of people are seeing the fruits of your labor that will maybe never know that Paul Clifford was the man behind the curtain, right? But I was actually behind the curtain recently speaking at an event called Life Surge. And so it was a big event. We were in I can't remember when I texted you. It might have been San Diego or Phoenix. And, where I'm getting ready to walk out, I'm getting ready to speak to like 3,500 people. All these things about to happen. I'm backstage. There's a lot going on. It's this huge mega production kind of deal. And I look down and the director of events, his name was Ryan. I look over and he's watching a YouTube video and he leads the team and the team uses ProPresenter to run our big stadium events. And I look down and I see him watching a YouTube video at sound check preparing for this stuff. And I see your face. I see Paul Clifford on a YouTube video and I walk over and I'm like, hey, what are you watching? And he goes, oh, dude, I watch this guy all the time, man. He has saved me so much time. He has saved me so much pain because whenever we have a problem in production about ProPresenter, dude, I just go straight to his website, straight to his thing. And I look him up, man. And this guy is just an epic dude. And I'm like, yeah, that's also my student. That's a guy that came through our program, launched an online business. And I'm like, that was like a full circle moment for me to like look down and see you backstage with me, man, at this event. So like, how does that feel to know that like your ripple from your business, like is not only affecting like God knows how many churches, God knows how many people watching every week, but like even big stadium events, man, there's people out there watching your YouTube channel and stuff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's incredible. I think the first time, and I posted about this in the community back in 2016 when this happened, is I went to an event and I wasn't making enough money. Basically, in order to go to this event, I volunteered to help them out backstage, right? Mm-hmm. And so I go to this thing. It's in Nashville, and person after person comes up to me. Hey, are you Paul Clifford? Hey, are you Paul Clifford? And I'm like, yes. So apparently all these videos I've put on YouTube, people actually are watching and they actually remember me. So that
incredible.
Was crazy. I went to the movies. I live just outside of Lexington, Kentucky. I went to the movies and the girl selling the tickets goes, I'm going to ask you an odd question. Are you Paul Clifford?
Wow.
Turns out she was a college student from like Alabama or something that had moved up here. And so while my wife and I are going to the movies, she got to see one of these moments.
That's incredible. You're out in just outside of Lexington, Kentucky, and we live in a small state. We live in a small area. Like, there's no crazy reason why any of us should be known,
Mm-hmm.
But if you just over time consistently put yourself out there, consistently help people, serve people, and consistently put out a great product, it's almost like, I don't want to say you can't help but win, but you kind of can't help but win. It's just like, it's not about being the best or the biggest or the fastest. It's kind of just being here the longest and doing it. And eventually you become like kind of known. Now, back then you weren't making enough money, but tell us about a little bit about the progression of your business now, because it has kind of turned from a side thing into a full blown thing. Right.
Yeah.
And what's amazing is, and I'm really excited to talk about this, is you actually started recently in the recent history of your business, started having 5-figure months, like months where you would make over 10,000 in revenue. That's a big deal, man. Like, not a lot of people get to that point. That is actually an opportunity door. When I see people getting to that place, it's inconsistent at first, but that's when you start opening the door to, wait a minute, there's a lot of scale possible here. I've not even scratched the surface of what I could do in this business. So, like, how did that feel that you go from, volunteering, you're doing the dishes to eat at the restaurant, right, to go to the conference, to literally like, hey, I'm actually making a full-time living at this, and I may even have an opportunity to scale even bigger.
Right. Yeah. So 2020, you might have remembered we had a little something that went on in the country and in the world with the little disease thing happening. That was the best year for me, because all these churches, they went from, I joke about this, that I can just imagine God laughing when people said, oh, we're never going to live stream. Wait until 2020.
Right.
And so they're all reaching out to me saying, how can I use ProPresenter for this? Well, it also coincided with a new version of ProPresenter that could live stream. So it was just the perfect nexus of stuff. So January of 2020, I was almost making enough money to where I could not worry about doing other stuff. I was doing AV freelance work. I could almost in January, but then about March, I'm like, I'm doing great. Everything's fine. And then in November is when I had my first 5-figure month. And I have it on and posted underneath one of my monitors. It was $12,560.76. And I'm like,
amazing. Gosh, like, look what's possible just because you put yourself out there. And also too, like, I think people are like, sometimes like circumstance does play a lot in what we all do. We know that, like, we all got to be reasonable about that, but you put yourself in the right place to be in the right place at the right time. We tell people that all the time about online business, and everything escalated so fast. It was kind of shocking to us in 2020. We had been in business for about 8 years then, and our business has just exploded. Like, everything went online and nothing changed after it all left. Like, the world went in the future 10 years during those 2 years of the pandemic. And now all this is there and everything's online now and everything is like possible. Like when you saw that and you're like, man, that's possible. Like, how did that make you feel? Not just that you did it, but to know that that was available to normal people like us, hanging out in Kentucky.
It's incredible when you think about, I don't have a building I go to. Right now, I'm in my garage. Like, you hear the proverbial tech startup in their garage. Well, I am literally in a garage. It's a 2-car garage. My 99 Camaro is right over there, and my desk is right over here. I walk past it to get to my desk every day, and I've got a set over to the side that has wood. I've got a 4K camera, lights, a video switcher, all that in my garage. And I don't have any employees. I'm very lean. I want to expand soon, but it's just crazy that I could do all this by getting up, making coffee in my coffee maker, and then walking into my garage.
That's amazing, dude. I was me and Jocelyn were driving the kids to school this morning, which we've done like, for a decade of their life. Like, I don't even think they understand that other kids ride buses and do all those things. Really, they can't comprehend it. And like, not just that, but it's not like a rush to like drop them off either. It's like, we're all four in the car. We're laughing, we're fighting, we're arguing, we're hurrying, we're not hurrying. We're just living life. And there's this little road. We live out here, and we kind of take a right to get to the school. And we go by every morning. We go by this like big farm, and it's got like the classic silos with the red and white at the top of them. And there's cows walking around, and the sun comes up right over this like hill down here. And I just looked over at Jocelyn today, and I was like, we get to do this. And not only that, like we get to then go home together. And like Jocelyn just actually walked in and just shut my door. It's 10:30 on a Wednesday, and we're hanging out together. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's just so preposterous that we live. This is the only time in human history this has ever been like this. Like the last 25 years, this became like we were born at this time in history to be able to even take advantage of this. And it's so frustrating to me when I know that right now, tens of thousands of people are listening to this podcast and they're not doing it. They're just not doing it. Like they're just like listening and hearing our stories. And it's like, y'all are crazy, man. Like you could totally be doing this if you would just like take action on it. And I don't even know what my point is right now, other than you're sitting by a Camaro and I'm hanging out with my wife and we get to do this every day, Paul Clifford. That's ridiculous, man. It's unbelievable.
I know. It's crazy. And a lot of people think, well, I'm no kind of expert. No one's going to listen to me. Well, neither was I. Mm-hmm. I just started putting up videos about the stuff I was volunteering to do at my church. Wow. And one of them I got a little bit more views on. And I'm like, well, I should do more of that. And that was a ProPresenter video. Nice. On ProPresenter 3. We're now on version 7. So I just said, well, I'll just make more of that and see what happens. And what happens is years later, here I am making my entire living online, like you say. And I do it all from my house.
Everyone always comes to us going, I got to have the right idea. I got to hit a home run. I got to do this. And you did exactly what we teach. Start putting things online, start trying something. Well, something will catch hold, and then you go all in on that. You hammer that nail once you find the nail. So I want to make sure everybody heard that was how your journey went. And then like even ProPresenter, which is a massive piece of software. I mean, it's a very popular piece of software. Like, didn't they take notice of you and fire some of your stuff or something?
Yeah. So back in 2016, when I went to this conference I told you about where I had to volunteer to get in, I talked to the guy that owns the company, right? And I just introduced myself and I said, hi, I'm just a really big fan. And he looked at me and said, oh no, you're more than that, because he already knew about me before I was really even catching hold.
Wow, man.
And so, in 2019, they came to me and they said, we noticed that you've got a pretty big Facebook group of our users. At that time, it was a little shy of 10,000. And they said, we're either going to make our own or we could partner with you. Which would you prefer? And I said, partner with me. Please partner with me. I will take the partnership. Yes, partner with me. And so they did that. And so that led to very recently, they just announced a little update. And as part of that, they sent out an email to their list of all of their customers. And they said, hey, we're going to make this announcement. They didn't say on Paul's group, but they might as well have said on Paul's group.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Here's the link to Paul's group. And so however many tens of thousands of their people got a link to my group where they signed up, and now we're at 51,000 members.
Jeez, man. That's incredible, dude. And here's what, and everybody's listening has to understand, like, it's not about what Paul's doing, it's what he did. Paul made videos and started the Facebook group. When the Facebook group started, it was at 0, y'all. I hate to tell you that. It's just so cool to like, just take consistent action, do it every day, be helpful, be servant heart, and go out in the world And like people take notice, man. And, I have a philosophy too. This is kind of something I'm working on. I've not really put it together yet, how I'm going to teach this in the community. For some reason, this subject keeps coming up. People are always like, well, how do you get on all these podcasts? How do you get all these opportunities? How do you get on all these stages? And I always talk about being consistent and being prolific and being relentless. But, I'm really dipping into this collaboration word and this servant heart word. And like, when you go out into the world, like become someone's best testimonial, basically become someone else's biggest fan, biggest advocate, because if you're their biggest testimonial, if you're their biggest advocate, if you're their biggest fan, of course they're going to take notice of you. Of course they're going to see you. We get into this competitive mode and I want to be this and I want to be that. But like the more it's about collaboration, the more opportunities. Like, look, just being collaborative and you supporting them over the years by talking about their amazing product got you noticed. And then they made you noticed. And all of a sudden you got 50,000 human beings paying attention to you. God, it's amazing, man. What an inspiring story, man. So we talked a lot about good stuff, bad stuff, in between stuff. We're both actually in a kind of a also transitional phase right now, which is, I think this is why I wanted to talk to you a little bit too. Like, so I, have been speaking a lot over the last couple of years. We've definitely, Flip Lifestyle is definitely 10x, in the last like 2 or 3 years doing all this stuff. And, but now I actually was looking at a lot of things I was doing. And I'm always cognizant of my life work balance, life first, work second. And I was getting a little unbalanced. I was like, holy crap, we're flipping our life back the other way. We need to flip back this way again. Right. Because I'd really been ambitious, really pushed out in front. And then I said, hey, I'm not going to go speak this summer. Like I'm not going to leave. Okay. But that, of course, is going to create a plateau in revenue. Right. And not a bad thing. I mean, revenue is fine. It's good. It's all whatever it is. But it's like, oh, that's going to create a plateau because we're not going out and doing as many things like that. And you and I were talking earlier and you were like, hey, doing good, but I might think we're kind of plateauing, right? A little bit right now, which plateaus aren't bad. I think some people look at plateaus as bad. Sometimes I think it's almost like respite or time to reflect, time to rest a little bit. But tell me, let's talk about plateaus a little bit, because everyone's going to hit a plateau in their online business sooner or later. You don't just go up forever. It's more like the stock market. You go up, you go down, you go up, you go down. So let's talk about plateaus. Like, tell me about your plateau. Tell me about what you're seeing. Tell me what you're feeling. Tell you how you're emotionally looking at that. And then also, like, what are you thinking about, like, how to bust through these plateaus? Like, like, for example, plateaus usually happen, members, it usually happens, like plateaus usually happen for some reason around 200 and 500 members. I don't know why. They just always, everybody seems to plateau there. Then they bust through it and all of a sudden they got 1,000. Plateaus will often happen at 5-figure months and 6-figure months. And then like it becomes really hard to make those next leaps for everybody out there. So, and I'll tell you another weird plateau, $1,000 a month. I don't know why that's a plateau, but people will get to $1,000 a month and then they just freeze for like 6 months without talking and doing their mastermind and stuff. So, and we don't have to get into numbers, but like, let's talk about your plateaus and where you're at and what you're thinking about it.
I mean, this, Shane, business is one of those things where you've got to be prepared for the fact that one day you're going to wake up and you're going to think, well, this is it. I've screwed it up. I've messed it up. Everything's
Where's my
horrible.
resume? Jocelyn,
where's my resume? I said I was never going to fill out another job application, but I better get ready to do just away. That.
I have that fear, dude. Like, I don't know why. You would think that would go away, but it never. It's like every other month at least, you wake up and you look in the mirror, no matter how good things are going, and you're like, that's been a good run. It's been a good run.
Yep. So that's the way it is. I've got a bunch of quarterly members, and I'm trying to get an equal number distributed across the different months of the quarter. But there's one month that is just not nearly as good. And I'm like, oh no, this is it.
Which month is it?
I think that it's actually April is the current one. So yeah. I had a really good March, a really good February. January wasn't so hot, but December and November were good. So, it's just, it ebbs and flows. And then, next month I'll have an awesome month and I'll be like, yeah, okay, I need to look at hiring some people.
Right. Yeah. I have that in my education business. June, is terrible. And we noticed that there was 2 months that were really bad in our education businesses. February and June were always terrible. And we were like, why is that happening? And football coaching, when I first started those businesses, I was like, football season was amazing. Summer was amazing. There was nothing in the spring. And I had to start analyzing this and realized, oh, my industry has an ebb and a flow. Mm-hmm. And there's reasons for it, but you've got to dig and unpeel the onion. Like, for example, if we're just spitballing here because we're kind of throwing mud on the wall. April. Let's talk about April. Well, you sell to churches.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, leading up to April, like March, you said was good. Well, what's leading up? What's March lead to every year on the Christian calendar?
Easter. So in after March, Easter,
yes,
everyone's like,
pastor's going on vacation, man. They don't care if it streams next week. They got Easter in their belt, right? What's in December? November, December are good. Why? Christmas services.
Yeah.
January, everybody's doing the Daniel fast. They're depressed. Right, yeah. It's like that's happening. Everyone has this cyclical nature in their calendar. Flip Lifestyle does it too. Normally, August is not great, especially for podcast downloads. That's where we get our biggest dips. And I think I know why. Well, we did some stuff last year to kind of combat it, and we busted up and had some big numbers. But like sometimes in like August, and we figured it out, it's because people are getting ready to go back to school in September. And everyone's so distracted with their last minute summer vacations, with getting the kids clothes for school, getting all that stuff. There's got to be some correlation there, because we focus on family-focused entrepreneurs, right? A lot of our members have families, and they're really doing stuff during that time. So there's an ebb there that we know is going to happen. Now, January is murder's row killer, because it's New Year, New You. Everybody's trying to start an online business. Everybody's trying to go to the gym, and everybody's doing whatever they do, right? So what we got to look at is when we're having plateaus during certain months, and we can predict the plateaus coming, right? And this is an interesting thing. Plateau might not even be the right word here. Plateaus are when you have consistent problems, like 2 quarters. It's like a plateau is like, dang, man, 2 quarters we've been flat on growth, right? Or 6 straight months we've been flat on growth. Is this a plateau, or is this the natural cycle of my audience? And we got to think about that. Like, because if it's the natural cycle of our audience, well, it's different solutions to either problem. Plateaus may mean innovation. We need to innovate. We got to sell more to our existing customers, or we got to come up with something new. Cycles mean we got to handle it. Like, let's go back to my football coaching example. When I realized the first year, I had a great July and August in football playbooks, memberships sold because people wanted to talk to me every week about helping them with their game plans, right? And then January hit and everybody quit and nobody joined. I was like, what just happened? But here's what happened. The football coaches took their eye off of football. They didn't care about football. What they did care about was the weight room, because that's when you lift weights. And I was like, oh, I need to create a product for the months that are bad for football playbooks. So I made a weightlifting manual that I used. And when we put that out there, and it was hilarious because one time I went to an opponent, played them, and I looked over on the wall. We were getting dressed in there. They didn't have a locker room for us. So we were in the weight room. And it was like my weight program was hanging on their wall. They were using my weight thing, and I didn't even know it, to make their kids stronger. And so I innovated and came up with a product for the down months. I came up with a solution for the down months that was in the wheelhouse. Like, you still have 51,000 Pro Presenter users paying attention to you. You still have all these members paying attention to you. So what can you do in the down months to prepare for them, right? Because they're coming. What's Dave Ramsey say? Christmas always comes. Why don't you save money for the entire year for your Christmas presents, right? Like, we know it's coming. So maybe that's where you innovate. Like, what is your post-Easter strategy?
Right. I'll tell you that what I mean when I say plateau is I don't have a churn problem necessarily, in that I bring in enough members to keep even, but I'm not like in 2020, every month I get 10 or 15 new members, right? And now I'll get 4 or 5, and then I'll lose 3 or 4.
I
So it's
gotcha.
kind of like
But
this.
then you feel it the most in the down months. See,
Oh
like
yeah.
that's
Oh
what's
yeah.
happening. Like everything's stable throughout the whole year. The whole year is stable
Hmm.
and you're not growing over the whole year. So maybe you have a plateau problem as a result of the cycle of your business, right?
Hmm.
So there's two separate problems here. I would say first, with the one I would deal with, the easiest problem to deal with is what do you do during the months where you don't make as many sales as normal? One, you have 51,000 pro presenter users. I would say those are a lot of secular users. Those are not all churches, right? It can't all be churches in that list. You might have to go to a more secular strategy of marketing to that list during these down months, and you fill up the down months where churches don't normally join,
Hmm.
right? Like another problem we always had was nobody really joined in June or July in schools because budgets didn't reset till like July 15th. So we
Hmm.
realized that we had to figure something out like to prepare for that. So we started marketing but we realized people still had budgets left. So we did like June was like a discounted thing where you could join to spend the budget before you lost it. And then we focused on budgets resetting later in August. So what are your strategies in those months where not as many people join? Maybe it goes after the secular market, maybe it's innovation for your churches. Maybe you do live workshops that they pay for during those months to fill
Hmm.
in the gaps. Okay. That's the cycle problem. Okay. So figure that out. What else can you do during those cycles to innovate, to create new things? And then the other thing is, how can you up level? How can you do something different to get more sales, like more sales, more marketing? That might mean hiring people. You might need to hire someone to give you more capacity. It might mean ad spend. You might need to invest in ad spend to force more customers into the funnel, right? And it could just be prolific. Like, are you doing enough webinars, Facebook group lives, things like that, right? So
Hmm.
that's just mud on the wall stuff. What have you thought of that you could do, or you were going to do, to combat some of those problems and like getting more members, not just the
Yeah.
cycle, but overall?
So what I found is I've got kind of some people, they don't seem as open to the idea of paying a smaller amount for a monthly membership as paying a larger amount one time. So I'm doing like quarterly classes online where I'll do 3 hours at a pop and I charge people for them and then I sell the replays and do that. So I've done some of those, and that's part of what made March a good month.
Yeah, yeah.
December, I did it as well, and that made that. Today, I'm probably going to do the same sale that I did last April that brought in a bunch of people. I have a physical product. So you might have seen on some keyboards, people have like rubber skins
Yep.
that have shortcuts. Well, I have one of those specifically for ProPresenter. So I last April I did a free plus shipping and then a discount after that. So I get their for $5 or $10, depending on where they are in the world. And I'll send them this thing that's normally $30. And then afterwards, if they don't cancel, then they get the membership too at a discount. So,
Nice.
and I'm upfront about all that. And that helped bust through a plateau last April. So I'm going to do that
Nice.
again and see what that does. I'm part of little name drop here. I'm part of Monica Louise course that she promoted with you guys, and so
Sure.
every month I talk to her on her live calls, and so I'm doing some Facebook ads
Nice.
that way too. So I did try and do a webinar right before Easter, which I thought, oh, this is going to be huge, and like 2 people signed up. I'm like,
Well,
okay,
that
that's
was
all
probably
kinds
like
of
you
crazy.
might probably needed to get ahead of it. Like that was
Right,
probably more of a February thing because they're planning Easter services a month out. You know what I
right.
mean? I did that one time too with playbooks. Like I started my sale late for my installation manual, and people install their defense in July, in like early August in Kentucky and stuff. And I did it in late August, and nobody bought it. And I was like, well, that's stupid. They've already They have a game next week. They don't have time to do a whole new defense. Yeah, man. I mean, sorry. So going back to the past, hammering the nail, that's a great strategy. Ads is a great strategy. Are you not doing any like live selling right now at all of the in your Facebook group or anything like that?
Doing basically a webinar in the group.
Yeah, like something like that, like just going live there. I tell you what's been working for us is challenges. Like I really like the challenge model because you can do one big challenge a month and you do like a 3-night challenge, 4-night challenge, however long you want to do it. You're teaching stuff, right? But you're getting them started and getting them to a certain point where then you got like, okay, the rest is inside. But you spend you have a huge Facebook group. Like you could do this like once a month and like kind of promote it throughout the month. Like next big challenge is this week. We're going to do a 3-night challenge of, you can even rotate them like 1 month to do a beginner challenge. And then the next month do a more intermediate advanced challenge. You know what I'm saying? To like show people who already know how to do it to get to the next level. Or I don't know. We can work it out. We can talk about it. But like if these challenges, what happens is people really spend time with you. That's really the point. And they really get to know you. They get to know your teaching method, but not just like passively, like watching a video to learn that one skill. You know, they get to hang out, they get to banter, you know, with a group that big and you got your email list and all that. Like, I mean, you go live in that group, dude, you probably going to have a few hundred people watching this thing. Right.
Right.
And then what I would probably, this might even be a combination strategy. So this might be a thing where you do a challenge. Like, let's say you're going to do in April, you're going to do that workshop. Okay. How long is was the workshop more than one day or just like a 3-hour workshop kind of deal?
Just so I did a 3-hour beginners and then a 3-hour intermediate workshop.
Okay. Let's just look at the beginner. So you've got this 3-hour beginner workshop. Okay. That basically you sold. How much did you sell it for?
I think it was $275.
Okay. So it's like $300. Okay. Perfect. So it's like $300. Now watch this. So let's say that's going to happen in April. But let's say about a week or two before that, maybe 2 weeks before that, you have a free challenge in your Facebook group. And now think about that beginner challenge, like where you start. Okay. And like now maybe you take a little piece of that out and pull it back and do a challenge over 3 nights, 1 hour a night. Right. So you do a little challenge that's free. Everybody gets some good value. You find all your true beginners because they're watching the free challenge. And then you sell the 3-hour thing there, right? So you're like, hey guys, for coming to the free challenge, I'm going to give you like a 25% discount. It's $300, but you can get it for $225 or something, whatever it is. Now you're seeding that challenge better with your workshop. So challenge goes to workshop. Then at the workshop, you sell the membership and you got a discount. So now you've made money going into the bad month, in the good month. And now in the bad month, you've created opportunity to make more things happen. And you're offering a discount in the bad month because they're going to need you again in May, but they just don't realize it yet. So it's like, you can even do something crazy there. Like, you know, say it's 25%, or it's like, I'll give you 50% off the first month and 25% off thereafter, whatever it is. You've killed the plateau and the cycle because you're attacking it from both sides. On one side of it, you're saying, well, this is a month that usually is pretty good. I'm going to do something free here, live here, build relationship here, sell the workshop to create more money going into the month that's normally not one of my best months. And now I've got opportunity there to get some freaking monthly and quarterly recurring on this stupid thing so that next time I circle around to this month, it's not as bad. My floor is higher. And so you're attacking it on the sales side in the beginning and the retention side on the end. Now we got something going on. So then just go look at, like, you could do that same strategy in the other quote unquote good bad months, like where you're doing that. Like if if January wasn't so good, same thing. Do your free challenge. Hey, I got a Christmas gift for you. We're going to do a free challenge, right? Free challenge happens. You sell up a bunch of workshops for the first week of January. First week of January, you do an amazing workshop for people. You made some money off of it. Bam. And those people at the end of it, you sell more memberships and we're ready to go.
Yeah, I think that could work. You know, what I've been saying for the times that are low, I say, okay, this is the time to rebuild. You know, it's like a rebuilding season in sports. Now is your opportunity to get ahead of this, to make sure that you have some time. During the summer, you might think, well, church is down, so we don't need to think about this. No, this is the time that you get ready, because in the
Yes.
fall, you may not even know that in the fall, a bunch of people come back, and all of a sudden you
Right.
have this big influx of people because school started. So
Yep.
be ready for when that happens, as opposed to just, oh no, that happened.
Your mentality is kind of, I mean, it seems like if April's down, you're like, well, okay, well, I'll get ready for May and June. No, like no month has to be down.
Right.
Months can be less for sure. I mean, that's natural flow of the business. But like, I don't want to ever accept that we ever drop off, like I got to innovate. I got to think of a new strategy. But you can take advantage of good months to cover bad months, and then give yourself and create opportunity in good months to give yourself more opportunity in the bad months, so that you can build yourself up. And I think that's kind of the game that we all have to play, like that's what I've been doing lately in mine. I'm creating an artificial plateau because I'm not going to be going out and speaking as much. Right. So that's going to drop lead flow. That's going to do that. Like I'm creating this situation. But like this morning, I was talking to a buddy of mine about different funnels he was using in his ad strategies that were not related to live things. Because as I'm coming out of a season of doing a lot of stuff live, I'm actually going the other direction. Like you're not doing enough stuff live. I'm doing too much live. We're kind of more moving toward the middle in what we're doing in our businesses. So like, I was like, tell me all your strategies that don't require a live thing. I'm going to do a live thing once a month. That's fine. But like, tell me all your strategies that don't involve live things. And he was just like telling me all of his stuff. So I'm right now going to activate that. We're recording this mid-April, and I'm going to activate this stuff over the next 2 weeks for May. May is where my artificial plateau is going to begin, because I have 2 more live events, then I'm done for the summer. Okay. So about May 20th, we're going to have an artificial plateau that develops. But what can we do now to take advantage of this that I have right now in this month to set myself up for June and July to have no plateau, no dip for sure. But like, how do we, maybe it's not a plateau, maybe it's a slight incline, right?
Right.
Where we can keep moving up. And I think that's kind of what we both have to do,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I agree. I know that. So it's just annoying when you've had hockey stick up and to the right, and now you're on a slow uphill. It feels like, oh, this
so
is
you wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah. It's like a roller coaster, just assume it's like a roller coaster, and then you'll know to expect, hey, the bottom's going to drop off in a second, but then it's going to go back up again.
That's the best analogy, man. Like we all go to like amusement parks and like water parks, and like we love the water slide, we love the roller coaster. We don't avoid, like some people, like they're scared to be an entrepreneur because they know that maybe, but like you don't, guys, you don't avoid the roller coaster. You're in control. You've got a harness on, you've got safety nets. You can create backup plans. When you're in a community like our community, it's like having someone check in your seat. Like, you've got all that around you. The roller coaster went 1,000 times that day before you got on it, and no one died. And then there's still that we create the fear of, but I'm the one who's going to go over the top, and we're going to derail, and it's going to fly off into the tilt whirl.
Right.
Like we create that in our head, and it's just embrace the journey, embrace the roller coaster, and get on the freaking ride. Get on it. It's the best ride that there could ever be for your family in the future. Well, Paul, dude, listen, man, this was so amazing just to mastermind with you a little bit and brainstorm some ideas. And now we get to go back to the community. We get to harness those ideas. We get to flesh them out, and we get to work on it. But pro presenter is a powerful thing, dude. And, even entrepreneurs, like I constantly tell myself I need to learn how to use it for my webinars and for everything else that I do. So real quick, tell everybody where they can find you online, so that if they're wanting to use pro presenter in their own online business or in their Zoom calls or whatever it is, or even maybe to tell their church about it, where they can find you on the internet.
Yeah. So you can go to churchtech.u, just the letter U, .com. So short for university, churchtech.u.com. Or you could join my Facebook group, and I have a short link for that if you're on Facebook, you could just do a search for Pro Presenter and it'll come up, or go to tdm.fyi/PPUG. So my company is Trinity Digital Media, tdm.fyi for your information /PPUG, Pro Presenter Users Group. Take you right there.
Awesome. So we will put all those links in the show notes as well. And dude, thanks for coming on the show, Paul.
Oh, excited for the third or fourth or whatever time. Maybe next time we'll talk about when I hit $1 million. Who knows?
That's exactly right. That's what we got to do. And it's like, it needs to be like Saturday Night Live. We need people, the 5 Timers Club. Do you remember this? On Saturday Night Live, there was a 5 Timers Club. Every time someone would host for the 5th time, all the other 5 Timers Clubs would come in like smoking jackets. So we need our own, like smoking jacket. And whenever you're on the podcast the 5th time, it happens.
Yep.
Too much. All right, guys, before we go, I've got to stop the show and do one of my favorite things in the world, and that's answer a real question from the Flip Flop Style community. So let's check out this episode's Q&A of the day. All right, our next question comes from Evan. Evan says, my question is regarding the pricing of my membership. This is one of my favorite kinds of questions. When you open the doors to your membership, do you just offer the monthly price, perhaps discounted initially, and then later roll out quarterly and annual pricing? Ooh, this is a good one. Or do you make them available all at once? Do you hold back quarterly pricing for special promotions? And what's a good percentage to discount offer, i.e. quarterly 25% versus monthly 40%? What would be a good discount to run? Okay, lot to unpack here, but this is a great question that we can answer about pricing memberships. When you launch your membership, we always want you to have the annual and the monthly price available to people, but not a quarterly. So the reason we want the annual plan out there is because it's going to give us a clue if your price is too low. Many of you have heard me say, all you need is 200 people to pay you $50 a month, and you're going to make $10,000 a month, $120,000 a year, right? Like that's just math. And we use the price point $50 to make that example easy. But really what we want you to do is go like $49 because it's better psychology and marketing, right? So let's say you open your package out there for $49 a month. That's just what you're going to charge. It's a great price to open any membership at to see if people will actually join at that price. The market has to tell you what the price is. But then we have an annual plan that's a discount. The easiest way to do that is just take 2 months off. So you can join for $49 a month, or you can save about $100 by getting it for $490, right? And we want those on your opening page when you first launch your membership, because when people come in, if you get a ton of people paying for that annual plan, your probably price is too low. If you get a ton of people, does that make sense? Because like if everyone's taking the annual plan, it's like, wow, that's a great deal, I'll just take that. Well, it might be a clue that you need to like raise your price, right? So it gives us data on the high end and the low end to see what's happening. And if everyone's taking that $490, you could probably charge more monthly. You could probably raise that up to like $97 a month, right? And get it up even higher. So it lets us have some data where we can be like, wow, so many people are joining this that my prices are too low, or nobody's joining it. So maybe the price is too high. And we want it to kind of be against that. And you can offer that discount. Quarterly prices is actually, that's almost exactly what I do with quarterly pricing. With any of my membership model stuff is I use quarterly for discounts because you can give like a different kind of discount. Like a great way to do a quarterly discount is buy 2 months, get 1 month free, or 33% off. You just basically every third month is free. So if it's $50 a month, that's $150 a quarter. So you can give it to them for $100 a quarter, right? We find that quarterly members stay a lot longer and they come in during those kind of promotions. Quarterly discounts make a lot of sense because you can offer them like spring, summer, fall, winter. They can be holiday pricing. It's a really easy promotion to run like once a month and just get a bunch of members to sign up for it, because they and the more they commit, the more discount they get, right? Did you hear what I said? When people commit, the more discount they get. So like if they get a quarterly or an annual, that's going to be less than just the pure monthly. All prices are based off of your monthly deal. But you also want data before you start offering quarterly prices. Like annual plans are great in the beginning because they can give you cash flow, like really a lot of cash flow up front. But like you need to know like how long people are staying monthly. You need to know like if someone joins at $49 a month, do they stay 3 months? Well, maybe a quarterly plan can get them to stay 2 quarters and you make more money, right? So we really don't want to roll out quarterly pricing really fast. What I would better recommend is doing a free trial before you start offering quarterlies. Get a good year of data selling monthly memberships, at least 6 months to a year of data before you go out and just offer quarterlies on your discounts. And then usually my pricing system, this is all, again, inside of the Flip Lifestyle Blueprint. You can go watch the whole training. I have a training on pricing inside the Flip Lifestyle Blueprint that'll tell you all this stuff too. But usually what I do is the monthly price is the monthly price. Let's say it's like $50 a month. Normally, I just give them 2 months free on an annual plan. Or you can do like, I'm sorry, I take that back. At the beginning, do 2 months because you don't want it to be drastically different. But you can go up to 50% off on an annual plan to get more money up front. And then on quarterly, it's usually that 33% level because I want to do that buy two, get one free kind of deal.
All right, y'all. That's all the time we have for this week's podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, be consistent, be prolific, be relentless. Get out there, take action, and do whatever it takes to flip your life. We'll see you then.